So now that you know how to use technology and all the different ways to find slope, we're now going to talk about how you use slope when you graph equations that are in standard form. So up here at the top, and before you start, you may want different colored, so you might want to use like a pencil and then a red pen or something. But the first thing we want to talk about is y equals mx plus b. Okay, this is standard form for, or slope-intercept form for graphing linear functions. And m, this is what stands for slope. When you're graphing, this is going to tell you where to move. And it's always still going to be based on your rise over run. The b value, this is your y-intercept. That's why this is called slope-intercept form, is because it gives you the slope and the y-intercept. This is always going to be where you start, and this will always be on the y-axis. So as we go to work through this first problem, those are things that we want to go ahead and mark. So it says, number 1, f of x equals 2x plus 3. And they want us to graph that on the coordinate plane. Let's see if I can get this to lay flat for us. So as we start, let's go ahead and label the parts. We already said that b, this is where we start. And this is always going to be on the y-axis. The m, this is going to tell us where to move. And it's going to be based on our rise over run. So all three of these pieces are going to work together for the same information. So if we label our equation up here, this is our m, x, and then this is our plus b. And although this says f of x, remember that's always y. F of x is just your function notation. So when we start, we're looking at our b value. So our b value is positive 3. So I would put that this is positive 3. Our m value is positive 2. From here, I'm supposed to pick out our rise over our run. But this is not a fraction. It's said to be integral or an integer. So 2, if we needed it to be over something, is always going to be over 1. So if they give you just a number, it's always over 1, because 2 divided by 1 would still be 2. So our rise, this part, is either going to tell us that we're going up if it's positive, or down if it's negative. In this case, it's positive, so we're going to go up. And so this is 2. And then the bottom part of our fraction is a 1, so this is 1, and this will always be to the right. And the reason for that is because if there's a negative, we're always going to put that up here. So now let's move to our graph. On the graph, there we go. Needed to get that where you can see it. We're supposed to start at 3 on the y-axis. So I'd go to the y-axis and go up 1, 2, 3. There's my starting point. Remember, m tells me where to move. And I'm going to move according to my rise and my run. So I'm supposed to go up 2 and then right 1. So from my starting point, up 1, 2, right 1. Remember, the biggest mistake people make is to count this as 1. I can't go 1, 2. I have to start here and then go up 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1, put another point, 1, 2 over 1, put another point. I can't go any further this way, but I can continue the pattern in the opposite direction. So down to left 1, down to left 1, down to left 1. And again, we're just following that same pattern so that if I was to go from point to point, I still make a linear equation. Good. So now let's try another one. So now I have g of x equals 1/2 x plus 2. So if I line my equation up again, this is y equals mx plus b. So b, my starting point, is 2. Again, this is where I start, and this will always be on the y-axis. Then you've got your m, which is this whole thing that's in front of x. So this is 1/2, and this is going to tell us where to move. And again, it's based on rise over run. Well, this one makes it real easy because it's already in a fraction form. So my rise is going to be 1, my run is going to be 2. And remember, this is either up or down based upon the sign of the number, positive and negative. This is always to the right. So now let's see if we can graph it. So we're supposed to start at 2 on the y-axis. So I'm at 0, I go up, 1, 2, and I put a point. That's my starting point. Now I'm supposed to follow my slope. My slope is 1/2, so I'm going to go up 1 because it's positive, and right 2. So from here, again, I count after I move, so this is up 1 over 2. And then I do it again, up 1 over 2, and then I can continue that pattern until I run out of space to do it. And then if I need more points to finish off the graph, I can do the opposite. Good. And then we always need to connect the lines. If you don't connect the lines, it's not actually a linear function, it's called a scatter plot. Okay, so let's look at one more. Flip it over onto the back. We have f of x equals negative 2/3 x minus 2. So this is y equals mx plus b. Now everything about this one is a little bit different. Notice our b value has a negative in front of it. So although it says plus b, that means my b value is a negative. So this is negative 2, but this is still going to be where we start on the y-axis. Same thing with our m. Notice our m also has a negative. So my slope is negative 2 over 3. And again, this is still going to tell me where to move, and it's still going to be based on the rise over the run. So this is what I mean by always putting the negative with the top number. Notice in the equation this negative is just sitting in the front, but I'm always going to stick it up here with the top number or the numerator. So my rise would be negative 2, my run would be the positive 3. There's not two negative signs, so this only goes with one number. So again, this is up or down based on the sign of that number. Well, in this case, it's negative, so this time we're going to be going down. But this is still always going to go to the right. So let's see if we can graph it. We're supposed to start at negative 2 on the y-axis. So here's 0, I go down, 1, 2, and I put a point. From there, I'm supposed to follow my M, which is my movement, and I'm supposed to go down 2, right 3. So I go down 1, 2, and then I go right 1, 2, 3, and put a point. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3, put a point. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3, put a point. And then I can do the same thing to go backwards. Up to left 3. 1, 2, 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3. Very good. And again, we connect the dots so that we have a linear function and not a scatter plot. So you try the graph at the bottom and see if you can get that on your own.